Were you 17 when?
No, you know what? We never got time to celebrate. That was the one thing in One Direction that I always hated. And so, I mean, I started to celebrate really early into award shows. I'd made sure I had a good time when I was there because I knew I was going to be on a plane to Japan and like sleeping on the floor. We used to have really big security guards, and like I literally have slept like 14 hours on the floor to Japan before and woke up on the floor and then like been greeted by 6,000 people.
So crazy, man.
And it's not that you want to beat your brand, because no one will beat our One Direction. Not one of us in our lifetimes. In another lifetime, somebody might. But we were like the new wave of the Beatles. And even still, people didn't say we beat the Beatles. You know what I mean? You're never gonna.
It's different era.
Exactly, and that's what happened with our fame as well. We were just that of this era.
One of the biggest accolades I ever remember about was having the biggest selling tour in the world for 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And everywhere we used to go, we used to beat the records in the venue, the records of this. You know, so you know what? You didn't even look at that when you were in One Direction. It was really weird actually until it finished. And like I remember being on the phone to Lou after and being like, wow, like that was really something.
As the band kind of stopped and we had a number of months off, it was almost like going through some like weird early retirement. Find yourself, especially after the band, you know, we were so used to being together and being known, you know, people still call me One Direction in the street. It's like, it's your name.
To be fair, no, I think it'd be weird to be a solo artist. I mean, I look at people like Justin Timberlake and like Robbie Williams, where I'm from. I saw a show of his the other day and just thinking like how they've managed to achieve success on top of the success they already had. Like NSYNC were huge, but then Justin Timberlake's managed to build on that somehow, but I don't really know how it'd work. It kind of scares me a little bit, to be honest with you. So I don't know, I like having, you know, the comfort of the other lads on stage and stuff, and the vibe you can have, and there's always someone to chat to rather than just being on your own, you know what I mean? It's
Sure.
Like,
You know, it's tough out there singing these songs on your own.
Yeah.
Some of them are really difficult. There's a reason there was 4/5 people there to overtake sometimes.
So when I often think about somebody like Justin Bieber, who kind of went through his whole level of fame by himself, he had no one else who knew what it was like to be Justin Bieber, which I think's, you know, kind of hard. So I tend to give him a little bit of a break sometimes. Whereas, you know, for us, we had each other and we all knew what it felt like to be in One Direction, and it still feels that way today.
One of our old managers went to therapy from being a manager of One Direction. So if you can imagine how that feels, like the rest of us definitely need some. And for me, most part, I was really regressing from therapy because everyone was pushing me into it, which is the worst thing you can do. You leave fame the age you entered it. So for me, that was 14, right? So I'm screwed. Like I'm the 14-year-old forever child. So that was always a big fear of mine that I have to grow properly. We were 17. I thought the security guard was like in charge of me. Like I was like, oh, can we leave the room? No. Oh, okay, then not to worry. I'll just stay here. That's what it was like. So I didn't know what the hell I was doing. You know what I mean? It's like, and no one, there's no guidebook. They don't give you a little DVD on the way and saying, here, you're a pop star. Like, this is what you got to do. So I'm like in the room, like, what, are we allowed to leave? And then eventually that becomes like an angry person. And I was. Yeah. Because there was points where it was toxic and it was difficult. Don't get me wrong. We had the best time ever. We did. But there was moments where through, you know, I mean, there's a big movement on it at the moment and people overworking and like, you don't realize you have a choice at that point. But in those shows, sometimes they don't give you the choice because you want the dream. But you have to realize there is a sacrifice for that.
To every young kid coming into this business, as soon as I meet them, I'm like, look, if you want to call me, I'm not trying to like put ownership over you that I know more than you or any of that kind of crap. All I'm saying is, if something happens, like call me, and any help I can give you, I will give you. But if I can't, then I'll let you know. I'll find somebody who can, basically. Yeah. So it's like, you know, trying to help each other because we're all not. I don't want to say suffering from the same disease. It makes it sound very like sad and horrible and like oh whatever. But it is. We all have this thing about us that we have to live with. That's part of our fame. And I think it's better if we all stick together than start, you know, throwing the V's at each other.
My life's been so controlled to a point. Day sheets, security guards, you know, anything, and it's all everybody else is dictating puppet master crap over the top of your life. Then you just get to a point where it's like you have to take some control back yourself. And until I started to do that with my life, then I was living for everybody else, and I'm a complete people pleaser anyway. So it was like nothing in my life was about serving myself, which then that just led me in a bad place and finding enjoyment from other stuff that I don't need.
But for you, when you got into the band, was it what you expected it to be? Because you said you have said that there were times when I just have to get out. I have to stop. This is driving me mad.
No, I mean it's definitely been a crazy, wild. You know, everyone's kind of looking at this decade, and my decade's literally been this, which has been the maddest turnaround of all. And it's a really weird thing to look into. But no, I don't think any of us really expected it to happen in that way, really.
The biggest thing to ever come out of X Factor was a band called JLS, and they were very big in the UK. So when we got where we got to, I thought, oh, we'll be just like JLS, like we'll be big in the UK. And then like we started closing down streets in the UK, and like one little girl like broke her leg by crossing the road and not looking. So they would close down streets for us and stuff. I thought, okay, this is getting a little bit strange. I'm like 16 years old, right? So I thought, I know what I'll do. If it gets too big, I'll move to Australia. And then the very next day after X Factor, right, you're going to Australia, and my name had already beat me there. And that's when I knew I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're going to go next. No, where's the escape button? There's no,
Do you miss the anonymity, though? Do you ever wish you could go back just for a couple of days and play to a crowd of 10 people? Or are you okay with the fact that this is where your life's at right now?
No, to be fair, I love it, and I can't believe, we're about to, step foot on our stadium tour next year and stuff, and that's so crazy. Like, we drove past Wembley, which is like our biggest stadium in our country, the other day, knowing that we've sold it out 3 times. It's just like, you'd never, ever have expected that to happen. Like, you'd expect to play some shows here and there, but not like a 90,000 strong stadium. It's just crazy.
The problem we had in the band, and I don't blame anybody for this, I don't want to seem like I'm whining or moaning, oh my God, look at my life, whatever. But it feels to me like when we were in the band, the best way to secure us, because of how big it got, was just lock us in our rooms. And of course, what's in the room? Minibar. So at a certain point, I thought, well, I'm going to have a party for one. And that just seemed to carry on throughout many years of my life. And then you look back, how long you've been drinking and stuff, you're like, Jesus Christ, that's a long time. I don't know. I think there's a slight little bit of social anxiety as well in it. That it was already hard sometimes to go out places for the thought that you might like pat or whatever. There's always that extra level of stress. So for me, I've always been quite withdrawn.
And what I find about my life now is I'm still in a syndrome sometimes where I become like almost agoraphobic in a way because I wait for work to tell me where to go.
It was wild, but it was like the only way you could get frustration out in the day or being trapped. And I spoke to somebody about this and in child development, as a teen, the one thing you need is freedom to make choices and freedom to do stuff. And it was the one thing that, although we could do anything we wanted, it seemed from the outside that we were always locked in a room at night. And then it would be car, hotel room, stage, sing, locked. So it was like they pulled the dust cloth off, let us out for a minute, and then woohoo! And then he's like back underneath it, and I'm like, good.
Exactly.
And you had therapy?
Yes, I went through a number of different bits of therapy and whatever else. I think, as Strip That Down was coming out, I was almost just as afraid of the success as I was the failure, which isn't a really very comfortable place to be in life because you're just not really sure what you're doing. You know what I mean? It was one of those sorts of things. So I went away. I had a little bit of a thing with drink, and it was a guy called Chip Summers who got me sober. I went sober for a year.
We were talking before.
2 whiskeys.
Such a bad idea.
It's not. It's a great idea. When's it ever a bad idea? It's only a bad idea the next day. Don't tell them what time it is. That makes us seem like absolute...
My bad.
And stopping drinking for a year, was that something that you planned to do for longer, or did you just know, actually, I just need to sort of push reset a little bit?
Yeah, for me, I think I was just at a point in my life where I was too young to stop. And in a way, it turned my social life upside down as well. So it was a very lonely experience as well as it was. Like, many things in my life went up, but also a lot of things in my life went down at the same time. So
it was just a super lonely atmosphere whenever you get home because you lose a lot of different friends and whatever else. And I was like in this amazing penthouse that I owned, but I was still sad, and I was like, this is everything I ever wanted, but it's nothing I'll ever need. For me, it was just about pressing that reset button for a minute and realizing that you could, cope without it and learning about emotions. We have to mask our emotions in so many different ways, and I think it's very important that you learn to deal with emotion as well, and as raw as it is, that you're going to be all right.
When was the last time you turned up to work hungover? Rehearsals, well, I actually didn't make them, so I didn't technically turn up, but when was the last time you didn't remember a night out? I went to Ibiza the other day, don't remember a thing.
What did you do to work on those demons that you were facing for so long?
They're probably right behind me, but they're still a bit away.
In the plant.
Yeah, they're catching up a little bit, actually, little fuckers.
One of the days that stuck out for me in the last few years where I did a whole day's promo in New York. And on the night time, I was on, I think it's an Andy Cohen show or something, and they had a drinking game. And someone asked me a question about one of my ex-girlfriends, and I did not want to divulge what the hell went down.
In early 2019, there were rumors that linked you with supermodel Naomi Campbell, especially after you were spotted at the O2 together in January, and you were leaving sexy comments on each other's Instagram pages. Liam, can you confirm or deny that you dated Naomi?
Plead the fifth.
You plead the fifth.
He confirmed it!
I pled the fifth.
Okay.
It's my rights as a human.
And it was a drinking game. So I was like, they were like, we can fill it with water. But me being me was like, no, if I'm playing for real. So I'm like necking tequila.
Oh, gosh.
Like, boom. And I'm wasted. I get home at 1:30. Bear in mind, I started at like, I want to say 8 o'clock in the morning. I was then asleep and I woke up at 3:30 for vocal training to be in Central Park at 7, for grooming at 5 and in Central Park for 7 o'clock. Bear in mind, I went to bed at 1:30. So I know what it can bring, and that crap will send you insane. I don't remember some days I was here.
And are you still drinking? Or have you?
No.
No, not soon.
No. I've been sober just over a month now, I think it is. There's some stuff that I've definitely like never spoken about to do with it that was really, really, really severe. And it was a problem. And it was only until I saw myself after that I was like, right, I need to fix myself. There was like a few pictures of me on a boat and I'm all like bloated out and I call it pills and booze face. And I was like this, like my face was just like 10 times more than it is now. And I just didn't like myself very much. Then I made a change. And the same thing happened this year with that sort of thing as well. I had to go out and I went to Dubai, which was the best thing I ever did. It was at a Hans Zimmer concert with a friend of mine called Umar that I had my last drink, and he was sober, and I kind of been watching him for a week. He's a fantastic businessman, wonderful soul, and one of the most generous human beings I think I've ever come across. And what kind of happened was I was watching this beautiful symphony, I was having a drink, and then I was like, you know what, this just isn't serving me at all. I don't really need this right now. It's the first time I've ever put a drink down and gone to someone else, yeah, you finish that, I don't need it. And I haven't picked one up since, which has almost been 6 months, which I'm excited about. It's good. It's good to be in this position. And then, yeah, I definitely don't need those things anymore. I think it's a really fine line between getting too wrapped up in what's going on and not being wrapped up enough in it, if you know what I mean.
Really?
But I think you know the things that hurt you the most because you know they're honest. So when someone says something you like, if they hurt you, then it hurt you a lot, then you know there's some truth in it because it hurt you. If it's ridiculous, you just go, oh, that was funny. As if they said that.
Yeah, I love just joking around, and honestly, for me, watching the commotion's one of the funniest things about it.
Just seeing the reaction.
Like, a lot of people are under the impression that I really give a crap about that sort of stuff, but
Right,
it doesn't
right.
really, I just get on with it. It's just a bit of fun for me.
There's a fine line to tread with it. And I mean, I've gone through eras where I was such like a little clapback, attitude-driven youth.
Responding.
Where as soon as someone would say something, I'd be like, right, well then, let's go at you. And then I was a bit mean and nasty at points, actually. It was a bit bad. But when you're a teen growing up in it and people are like basically bullying you and they get paid for it, it's like, that's a bit outrageous. So I'm going to have my say. Who's got the biggest mountain? You know what I mean? But then it's like, someone said to me over time, it's like, if someone says something about me in the press in this country and then I say something about them, it ends up on E! News and then they've made America. I didn't get anywhere.
Because like a lot of people, if I tweet about someone, their phone just like breaks for the day.
Next level. I've never seen anything quite like it. And I wonder how it is for your girlfriend. How does she handle your very serious, intense One Direction fans?
I don't know, sometimes I think it's kind of hard for her because there's a lot, well, I think that lately for me Twitter's been a bit twisted sometimes and some horrible things get said. Like I had somebody on there the other day who was pretending to be her that had tweeted that my mum had died, which is just weird.
What did they come up with this?
I don't know, it's so strange, but I don't know, I don't think she really looks at it too much, to be fair, because, well, I kind of told her not to anyways.
Release, right, and I was getting a lot of hate online. There was death threats, there was all sorts of stuff. My biggest worry was actually stepping off the team bus that day because I was initially sure I was going to get booed. I'd never really been in that position with you guys before. I kind of ruined that moment for myself. To be honest with you, I just kind of got through the game at that point because it wasn't really about me, let's be honest.
People getting into you every day, like I say, just every so often you're like, when will they send? And then so, like, that's almost nearly killed me a couple of times.
And like I told you earlier, the moment for me is never about me when we're talking, or if there's a fan that wants a picture or if somebody wants to come over. The moment's about them having their 5 minutes. So whoever they want me to be for that 5 minutes, I'll be.
And it's always about impressing whoever's behind the lens or whoever's in the audience. So I fill conversations with crap that I'm saying that doesn't really help me because I'll go home thinking, why the hell did I say that?
Yeah.
Like, what, now I'm that guy? Oh my God, And then it's like, but I was saying it because I thought it would entertain the other person. It wasn't about me. Stupid.
I still don't know who I am. I replicate different people on a daily basis. Like I still don't know who I am. That's the worst part of it because it's like selling an identity to people that I'm me, so I can only sell me. And then the different thing was I'd just gone out of the writing zone. I don't want to say why, but I'd stopped writing in that sense, and it was more difficult to write for my own project because I was like trying to pull from my own life, which is also very vastly confused.
I feel like I hide resentments from people sometimes, and I'm like, something annoys me, and I'm like, oh no, it's fine. But inside I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I wish she didn't do that.
And then
so then it's like, then over time, I'm like, every little thing starts creeping in.
Never allowed to say anything. Nobody wanted to tarnish the image of whatever the hell was going on in the thing. So trying to hide a bunch of stuff bleeds over into your normal life as well as it does you playing whatever character it is you play as a celebrity or a performer or whatever. So
sometimes you can get lost in the connection part of this game, and I think that's always been a difficult thing for me to connect with people because I put so many barriers up before you get to actually what's going on that you know, it's almost like hurdling in a way.
Why do you think those barriers are up?
Protection. I think it's protecting people from what's, you know, if you turn up in a disguise every time, then you can always blame it on the disguise. The moment you're not wearing one, you got nothing to blame it on. I'm proper perfectionist. Terrible. So when it comes down to relationships, I'm always trying to, at the start of the relationship, as we all do, you put out this complete false character.
Yes.
Like I might as well go in costume at this point. Like, I'm like putting out something that is not there. That's my biggest problem, I feel, for myself. I don't lay out my stall. I'm like willing to bend to someone else's stall, and then I'm annoyed at why they don't like what I like.
Amen.
I think other people just want their space. And also, you know, we worked together for 5 years. For some of us, we didn't really have that much in common except for that we had a job together. Now we don't have that job together any longer. There's not really any real reason for us to talk that often.
I think everyone's settling into themselves at this point. I know I am for sure. I had a lovely phone call from Harry the other day who was checking in on me, and I mean, it's always like some people have got sixth sense for you, right? That you're going through something, so they'll check in. And he's very much like that. He's a lovely, lovely boy. I love him to pieces. And then Louis, I speak to a lot.
I mean, I speak a lot to Louis, who's obviously, you know, he's had a crazy few years, more so than anyone. You know, a very sad few years for him actually. But he's doing amazing. You know, he's transformed him into the most beautiful human being ever.
Things I would say Louis is the one that I turn to the most. I think when we were in the band, if there was ever like a problem band-wise, me and him would always try and figure it out together. So we often do that through life now as well, which is good.
The rest of the boys are really stuck by me, and when I needed them most, they, you know, kind of came to the rescue. Even Zayn as well, which is why, you know, I did send him a little thank you online actually. For each of us as members, we wanted to see what we could do, and I'm really happy with my success of as far. What I don't know is how much of this idea was mine to go with as to be in the music career. But I think it's all fairly like it's laid out as it is now, and we've all had our success in completely different areas. And also musically, we didn't really go down the same route. I think Harry's done amazing. You know, I mean, first album he had the one song off, which did really, really well, and then his second album, he found himself, and that is your awakening as an artist. That's when it really clicks. I don't feel like I've had that moment within me yet. I've written some songs recently that I'm really proud of and happy with, but I don't feel like I've had that moment.
Can we get Harry Styles, Louis Thomas, and Liam Payne and Noah and Zayn Malik for a collab this year? Honestly, I don't know where half of them are. I imagine if we scream loud enough, it'll be like Avengers Assemble and everyone will just mosey. Is anyone behind that curtain? I would enjoy a collab. That would be fun.
I mean, at the moment, we seem to just get asked all the time if we are you getting back together or aren't you getting back together? The truth is, I think it's a matter of when at the moment. Everyone's super comfortable doing their own thing and everyone's really happy doing their solo stuff. You know, I'm really enjoying this at the moment. I've had great success doing this at the moment, which has been really, really fun. It's great to watch everybody else venturing out and doing their own thing. So, I mean, it's more to do with where some other people in the band's heads are at with it, to be honest with you. So
I'll say it because he brought it up quite recently, but the whole thing of the talk about the reunion, like for me, I'd rather we talked about it sooner rather than later, because I don't want to. It's tough touring that sort of a record, and I enjoyed touring for what I enjoyed it for, but there's parts of it that really, really fucked me up, man. In a sense, I'll be honest with you. But none of us talk about it. It's like it's taboo subject. It's like, oh, we can't get back together. What do you mean? Oh my God, like us in the same room? What the fuck is that about? Yeah, so once you reach that height, I suppose one of the reasons I struggled the most out of it is because you're never really going to reach that height again. And then it's almost like limbo. And also not knowing whether or not we're going to come back. Are we going to come back? Everyone's asking. And it feels like pressure to come back. It's almost like your parents going, when's baby 2 coming? You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, now we got to have another one. So that's wild to me. And having to deal with that at a young age, I was always going to mess it up somewhere, is what I would say about myself. Because that's, like he says, the worst day ever. You know, the day the band ended, I was like, thank Lord for that. And I know a lot of people are going to be mad at me for saying that, but I needed to stop or it would kill me. And I was like, thank the Lord. And then after that, trying to like funnel your way back into society, be like, hey guys, I'm still here. Turning up at Tesco's.
Is there a moment where you look back and say that was the lowest moment for me? That was the pivotal moment.
I had a few of them. I was worried how far my rock bottom was going to be. Where's rock bottom for me? And you would never have seen it. I'm very good at hiding it. No one would have ever have seen it. But rock bottom, I mean, I don't even know if I hit it yet. I can either make that choice now and pick my last moment as my rock at the bottom, or I can make a new one and make a whole new low. That's my choice.
You know, and then that's almost nearly killed me a couple of times.
As
when
in
I've been in a
you've
bad
wanted
place. Yeah, when I've been in a bad place, 100%. You know, there's no point denying it. It's definitely been on the menu a couple of times in my life, and
this is enough. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Everyone else is trying to help, and you don't see the effect it's having on them as well. You live and die by the sword. I live and die by my sword. That's it. But the person who's behind trying to pick up the shield to help me, they haven't even got the fucking sword. They're just diving into battle for you. And that's the difference. You know what I mean? It's like people miss out on that bit. So it's never just on that person. You know what I mean? A lot of my stuff, you know, if I hadn't had the help I had, I don't know where the hell I'd be right now.
Just really great people around you and just finding out a different way of looking at it. Like you say, you know, when things start to pile on top of each other, that's when it can really get you. You've really got to change your view about it. There's only one thing you control within that situation, it is you.
I feel like more than anything at this point, I'm more disappointed in myself for the keep on hurting people.